Jimmy Kimmel and Sean Hannity had been feuding since last week because Hannity was very disturbed and offended after Kimmel, a comedian, made a quick joke about Melania's accent on his late night show. Now that led to a back and forth, a never-ending back and forth, until Kimmel finally decided to stop it all. And he apologized to the LGBT community because he had made some comments, some criticisms toward Sean Hannity in a joking manner that some people felt was homophobic. And so his response to that was, while I admit I did have fun with our back and forth, after some thought I realized that the level of vitriol from all sides, mine and me included, does nothing good for anyone and in fact is harmful to our country. He also addressed the gay community and said, by lampooning Sean Hannity's deference to the president, I most certainly did not intend to belittle or upset members of the gay community, and to those who took offense, I apologize. Now, I thought that it was a bad idea for Kimmel to apologize, not necessarily to the gay community, but I thought it was a bad idea for him to kind of back down from Sean Hannity, because I know from experience what conservatives are like, and conservatives don't accept apologies. Conservatives will punch you 3 times harder, and that's exactly what Hannity did. So he addressed Kimmel at the very end of his latest episode, and we have the relevant clips for you. Let's take a look at the first one.
It seems to be more of a kind of a forced Disney corporate apology directed about Kimmel's comments about the First Lady. But honestly, that's ultimately up to you to decide here. I believe everyone should accept apologies. That's how I was raised. That's what my religion teaches me. And I'm going to assume he's sincere.
No, that's not what you were assuming. You're being a total dick the whole time about it. And with your graphic saying Kimmel backs down, that's not accepting an apology. That's rubbing it in his face.
That's absolutely right.
Right. And so
there's more. Let's go to the next clip.
The liberal media is trying to say that my commentary of Michelle Obama's political statements is somehow similar to what Jimmy Kimmel said about Melania Trump. Frankly, that's a lie. They know it.
No, your political statements were actually much worse toward Michelle Obama. In fact, he tried to make an argument that when he would attack Michelle Obama, it was strictly on the substance of what she was saying, when in reality, Hannity went on this rant about how Michelle Obama wears designer clothing, as if Melania Trump doesn't wear designer clothing.
Oh, could you imagine if they talked about Melania Trump's designer clothing? Besides which, he called Michelle Obama angry and bitter all the time, anti-American, which are 1,000 times worse insults than anything that Jimmy Kimmel did about Melania, and let alone the fact that it has the racial stereotype of an angry black woman. I mean, trope after trope, and then him like, oh, me golly gee, I would never attack a first lady. No, you're the worst, Sean Hannity.
All right, so now he invites Kimmel onto his program. He can't help himself. Take a look.
Jimmy, you seem focused on politics. You seem sincere when you talked about healthcare. You seem sincere when you talk about the country. I want to extend an invitation. You want to come on the show? I'll promise no name calling, no anger, no rehashing of the Twitter fight. You want to have a serious discussion, we can talk about the president, his policies, healthcare, comedy, political correctness, ending boycotts, how I've supported Bill Maher, Howard Stern, Don Imus, Opie and Anthony, people that I disagree with vehemently. My bet is you'll actually agree with me on a lot more issues than you think.
My bet is he probably won't, but that's just my bet.
Here's my overwhelming bet. He doesn't go on your stupid ass show.
Okay, so one final portion of his segment, and this is the relevant portion for me. This was at the tail end of his commentary in regard to this whole back and forth. And this is the reason why you can't back down when it comes to monsters like Hannity. Take a look.
By the way, Jimmy, if you do want to start up again, I promise I'll punch back even harder. And my producers spent all weekend compiling a lot of your highlights or lowlights in your career. They don't make you look too good. So instead of airing them, we'll put them in storage, and we have more important pressing issues like what's happening in Syria and the gassing of women and children.
So in other words, don't cross the line with me again, because if you do, we have a nice, database of content that we can misinterpret for our audience and mischaracterize to make it seem like you're a terrible person. That's essentially what he ended the segment with.
Okay, so let's notice the 2 fun things at the end there. One is like, we have really important stuff like Syrian gas to talk about. Although I just spent the last however many minutes talking about this. So then if you had more important stuff to talk about, why didn't you talk about it? But more importantly, in this context, The idea of like, no, Jimmy, come on our show. It'll be great. I'll be fair to you. But I warn you, I'm gonna punch you twice as hard if you ever cross me again. Look, that's what drives Anna and me crazy about progressives who back down. And look, I don't know all of Jimmy Kimmel's politics, and I know that he's got a lot of pressure because he is at ABC, and unlike a lot of folks at Fox News, he has something to lose, and has an excellent career and all that. And you don't want to offend people that are part of the LGBT community. All those things are true. But when you back down from conservatives, or you apologize, or you're in any way decent to them,
right,
it never pays. All they do is rub it in your face. They never do likewise. Hannity never apologized for any of the things that he said that were way over the top in regards to Jimmy Kimmel, and never will. And instead spits in your face.
Yeah.
Just the next time progressives, you're in a situation like this, or any other random person against the monsters on the right, understand they are not going to reciprocate on your decency. It's never going to happen.
Right, and I just want to touch on one other thing very quickly. It's not just Kimmel. I mean, Kimmel felt a tremendous amount of pressure to apologize because he was allegedly catching heat for some of the comments he made toward Hannity. They were being interpreted as homophobic, when in reality, I don't know, my read of it was not that it was homophobic. And so he didn't want to offend that community, and I can understand not wanting to defend them because it's a community you care about. It's a community that he has fought for in terms of equality. And so I want progressives to not be so hard on one another, because I think that is actually the core of the problem. I mean, look at his intentions, look at his track record. If he has a track record showing that he is homophobic, or that he did not believe in equality for the gay community, or has said horrible things about the LGBT community, then of course he deserves the criticism. But if he is making jokes in response to Hannity, then, I mean, are we gonna police every joke that he makes and then immediately, cast him off as someone who's homophobic? Because that's what happened here, and that's why he apologized. We need to band together, that's my point. Conservatives are really good at that. They will go as far as they need to say the most loathsome things about people that they disagree with, and they stick with one another, whereas we eat our own constantly.
Yeah, and you help the right-wing cause if you throw your own under a bus. And that's what the left does all the time, and the right almost never does. They don't apologize, and they don't back down. They circle the wagons, whereas the left often does a circular firing squad. One circle makes sense, the other one doesn't. You just watched a video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. tytnetwork.com/join.